Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 potential replacements for Pep Guardiola when his contract expires. Obviously, his contract expires at the moment at the end of this season. We don't know whether he's going to sign on. Right now, it's looking like it is quite unlikely. I would love him to sign on. I'd love him to sign a new 5-year deal. The reality is that's not going to happen. At most, we'll get one more year out of Pep, which we all want, but in reality, we do need to start thinking about the future. There is obviously potential that he'll announce sort of around January time, like he did when he came to City, that he will be leaving. And in that time, we're going to start thinking about new managers. There's obviously a lot of new manager names flying about. And yeah, in today's video, I'm going to go through 5 people who I would like to see replace Pep. I'll put them in order. Some of them are very unrealistic. Some of them are very realistic. Before we do get into today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also press that notification bell if you haven't already. We are very, very near to 10k subscribers now. We are less than 70 away. So all subscribers are much appreciated. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on into today's video. Starting with option number 1, it is none other than Mikel Arteta. Obviously, he was assistant manager at Manchester City for, what, 3.5 years-ish. He left, obviously, to Arsenal last, I think it was December. And yeah, there was a long time where it seemed inevitable he was going to be the successor to Pep. Obviously, he was liked a lot by the players. Players like Sterling and Sané said he helped develop them a lot. So yeah, he was very well liked at City. Obviously, City fans were okay with him. By the sounds of it, he was having a decent impact on the training pitch and on the actual pitch. He was making goals happen. He was an important part of the coaching team. Although I don't quite believe all the stuff that City's poor form this season and sort of the end of last season is due to losing him, because we were still pretty poor at the start of last year with Arteta as assistant manager. But since leaving Manchester City for Arsenal, he has gone and proven himself. He's won a Community Shield, he's won an FA Cup. Obviously not the biggest trophies, especially the Community Shield, but he's shown he can win trophies. He's beaten the likes of City, he's beaten Chelsea in the FA Cup. We've seen him beat Liverpool this season in the Carabao Cup. He is a decent manager. In terms of style of football, he's not really been able to implement his style to as good as he wants, because he's not been fully backed by the board. And obviously at City, it would be completely different. He'd have a much better set of players. At the start of his reign, we did see him try and play his nice football, and it was good, pressing, nice, flowing football. But yeah, obviously his squad isn't that great, so he can't quite compete and play the nice football that he would like. But I'm sure he would do so if he came to City. The only issue with Arteta would be, it's very unlikely he would leave Arsenal. I think Arsenal would probably not let us take him off him. Although if he really wanted to move, he probably could get out, but I don't think he'd be that desperate. I think Arsenal's one of them things where it's his project. I think he'd quite like to see it out and try and succeed at Arsenal and be the man that takes them back to the glory Wenger days. Next on my list for managers I would like to replace Pep next season if he leaves, and this one is going to be an odd one, is Gasparini, the Atalanta manager. A lot of you may never have heard of this guy. He sort of only really got heard about last year. He has been in the managerial game for a long time. He's 62, wouldn't be a very long-term option. He would be very similar to a Pellegrini, where we kind of bring him in, we've got eyes on our next manager already. But he does play nice football. His Atalanta side was scoring for fun last season, and once again this season they've started in flying colours. He would bring entertaining football to the Etihad, which is obviously what we all want. We want to go to games, we want to see goals, we want to be excited. We've got the team to do so, and I'm sure he could probably win a Premier League. He's not obviously at the same level as Pep. To be fair, none of these managers are. Pep is on another level. Him and Klopp are different levels to the rest of the managers. They are the Messi Ronaldos of the managerial game. Gasparini is my least favourite of the 5. He's also never going to happen. The club would never go for that kind of guy again. I feel like Pellegrini was an exception. Gasparini's not really won much in his career. There's not much to talk about for his name. Although I wouldn't be completely disappointed if we got him. We're never going to get him, and he probably isn't a great fit for the club. But he is one of the 5 options I felt like I should go with for today's video. Swiftly moving on, we have third on the list. It is Erik ten Haag, manager of Ajax. A lot of people speaking about this guy sort of after 2018-19, where his Ajax side were extremely unlucky not to make the Champions League final after a 94th minute or whatever goal from Lucas Moura sent them packing their bags and going home. Since then, he's obviously lost a lot of his players. They've lost Frenkie de Jong. They've lost Matthijs de Ligt. They've now lost Hakim Ziyech. They've lost a lot of that squad. And so they obviously weren't competing at the same level last year. But he does play nice football. He's got that Ajax philosophy, which Pep obviously has from Johan Cruyff. He plays nice football. He's got experience developing young players. As I said, Frenkie de Jong, Matthijs de Ligt, they're all players that were developed under him. So who knows, it could be majorly beneficial to the likes of Tommy Doyle, to Phil Foden, and players like that. we might see them reach another level under him because he obviously has the experience. As I said, he plays good football. Again, it'd be entertaining. I don't want a manager that's not going to play nice football. I don't want a Jose Mourinho type manager where we're just going to be watching a bus parked in front of the goal every game, because I can't be bothered to watch that. So yeah, that is one important factor. Ten Hag isn't top of my list. He's sort of third on my list. I will go through it all at the end. But yeah, it's not impossible to happen again, although this move would be very unlikely. Moving on to fourth on my list, and this one is fairly likely. It could definitely happen. It's Mauricio Pochettino. One of the only things that I think could stop this taking place is if Ole is to get sacked before November and Pochettino ends up at Manchester United. Something I really hope doesn't happen. He is a manager who I rate very highly, and if he takes over Man United, I could see them winning the Premier League in the next 5 years. That's one of the reasons I'm not scared of Man United, because they got Ole in charge, and Poch would completely change that. Obviously, Poch's main criticism would be that he has won no trophies. He's done very well at Southampton and Tottenham, but like I said, no trophies. He did get Tottenham to a Champions League final, however, which was a major success. Obviously, they didn't beat really many teams. They drew to us, went for an away goals. Drew to Ajax, went for an away goals. But beating Ajax and City overall is a success. Obviously, he's not had much money at Tottenham. Towards the end, they started to spend a little bit. He got 6 million on Dombele, but he only got to use him for 2 or 3 months. And at City, it would obviously be a completely different ball game. Khaldoon and Cheeky would obviously back him. He'd have a lot of money. He'd have a much better squad than he had at Tottenham. Much like Ten Hag, Pochettino also has a good reputation of developing good young players. We saw the likes of Dele Alli, Harry Kane, Eric Dyer all flourish under him, and they all performed very well. Hopefully we could see a similar thing, as I said, with the likes of Phil Foden developing to much better players. Maybe we could see Liam Delap develop a lot as a striker. We saw Harry Kane develop a lot under Pochettino. Obviously, I think it was under Pochettino where he sort of made his name. So we could see a similar thing with Liam Delap. Obviously, I'm not saying he'd reach the same levels, but hopefully we could see something similar. Poch also has that Premier League experience, which is so crucial. We know that he works in the Premier League. Yes, he probably should have won a Premier League in that 15-16 season when Leicester won it, but he has performed well in the Premier League. You've got to remember, he didn't so much money. When you consider what he was spending compared to other clubs, he was overachieving in my opinion. So yeah, I would love Poch to come to City. He would in fact probably be my number 1 replacement for Pep, but I do think it's likely that he'll go to Man United. If not though, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get him. Final man on my list for managers that could replace Pep when his contract expires is Julian Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann is a name that's been floating about in the Manchester City fan world for sort of the last 6 or so months. He obviously did very well with Leipzig in the Champions League last year, got into a Champions League semi-final before losing to PSG. Completely understandable when you consider the difference in cost of the squad. And so he's only 33 years old. You could have a massive future with Julian Nagelsmann. We're talking a long tenure he could have if he succeeds. So far in his managerial career, he's been massively successful. Started off similar to Pep in the under-19s for Hoffenheim. Obviously, Pep did the Barca B team to begin his career. Nagelsmann did this at Hoffenheim under-19s, and he won the Bundesliga under-19 division, massively successful. He then went and took over the senior team, similarly to Pep, and he took them from on the brink of relegation to the Bundesliga 2 to European football on, again, not too high of a budget. He then obviously moved to Leipzig once again and succeeded there. As I said, took him to a Champions League semi-final. He plays decent football, so once again, that factor would not be a problem. The only negative is at Leipzig, he is favoured the 5 at the back. I'm pretty confident he favoured the 5 at the back as well with Hoffenheim, which you never know, it could work, but in my opinion, that's probably a negative. You want more players attacking with the amount of attacking players we've got. But again, it's a build for the future type of manager, so you can sort of rehaul the squad under him, which would be good and interesting. But yeah, in terms of how I would rank these managers, Poch would be my number 1, Nagelsmann my number 2, Arteta my number 3, then Ten Hag, then Gasparini. In terms of likelihood, Poch is very likely. Arteta is reasonably likely. I wouldn't be completely surprised if we went and got him. And Nagelsmann I don't think would be too far out the realm of possibilities. The other 2 very unlikely. Gasparini pretty much impossible. Anyway, that is all from me today. They are my 5 Pep replacements. Who would you have to replace Pep? Would you have anyone different on the list? Also, make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already and subscribe. Like I said, we're nearing 10k subscribers. And make sure to press that notification bell so you're notified the second I upload. Anyway, that's all from me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.